Good morning, atheists, agnostics, skeptics, freethinkers, secular humanists, whatever you like to call yourself, you are welcome here. At Seattle Atheist Church, we call ourselves an atheist church because there will never be anything supernatural promoted from the podium. So it so happens that it's going to be my birthday soon, and the talk today is on the law of attraction. And just yesterday, it came in the mail, a present from a friend. This is a super awesome planner, but what my favorite bit about it is that it has this big eye and it says law of attraction on the outside of it. So just pure coincidence that it came. And I want to say that as we talk about the law of attraction today, I am not talking about this kind of thing, where you set goals and you work hard to achieve them. That is not what I mean by the law of attraction. And I am going to be talking about Esther Hicks. This was recommended to me strongly. Esther Hicks and the law of attraction. So that's what we're talking about today. Now, we've had talks here on the power of positive thinking and Martin Seligman. The fact that how you think can affect your experience of the world. That is not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about law of attraction. And we have also talked about the fact that you can't just think happy thoughts all the time and expect to be happy. Actually, the parts of ourselves that we try to suppress find a way to just leak out of our unconscious in nasty ways. So later on in this talk, I will follow the example of the Jungian Robert Bly, and I will demonstrate eating my shadow. That is, turning and integrating into myself the unwanted parts of myself so that I can be whole and strong for the year to come. Now, Esther Hicks believes that she is a channel for 100 disembodied beings known collectively as Abraham. But she's not the only channeler in town. There's also someone called J.Z. Knight, the Z stands for zebra, who channels a 35,000-year-old warrior spirit called Ra. Never mind the fact that Ra doesn't know any ancient languages and is supposed to be from an island in the Pacific that doesn't exist. If you know nothing about geology or anthropology, then you can believe in the 35,000-year-old spirit called Ra. Esther Hicks, disembodied spirits called Abraham, are along that same tradition. It's coming in a line of new thought religions where the thinking is that whatever you think, you create. Okay, so among other things that Esther Hicks, so first of all, it was Esther Hicks originally with her husband, Jerry. And reading on the website, it says, Jerry was an unhealthy child. At some point, he heard his doctors tell his mother, I don't think this kid is going to make it through the winter. But today, Jerry has a spring in his step that is greater than men who are half his age. If you read that, it would be understandable that you would believe that Jerry is still alive today, because that was on the web as of this morning. But actually, Jerry has been gone since 2011. Now, is Esther trying to hide the fact that Jerry is gone? I don't think so. I think she actually just imagines that Jerry is with her all the time. Do you believe in a disembodied spirit which will exist apart from your body and will survive your body even after your death? If you do, even if you've never been taught that, you might come up with that idea on your own, and there's a reason for it. We have evolved so that we can understand the idea that other people have beliefs and thoughts. You could see from an evolutionary point of view why that would be really useful. And so we understand that there are other minds out there. When we get this confused, we think that there is a big mind out there, that there is mind out there thinking and having thoughts. We call that, if you're a New Ager, we call that infinite intelligence. And if you're not a New Ager, you might just call that God. And we think that there is a version of that which is local to ourselves, and we call that a soul. But if you're a New Ager, you might call it a spirit, okay? And so Esther Hicks believes that you can create your reality based on, it's all about vibration and creating different vibrations that cause things to happen in the world. And she believes you can choose the time of your death. You can cure any disease instantly by just changing your thoughts. And she makes a claim that the only way that things like vaccination and medicine work is because we have a belief that they work. And yes, faith healing, not faith healing, I want to say like medicine men, witch doctors, that kind of thing, are equal to any kind of medicine, science-based medicine, because it's all just about whether or not you believe it's going to work. Now, it was Voltaire who said, if you can get people to believe absurdities, you can get them to commit atrocities. So what happens if we believe that children all over the world are experiencing the poverty or the illness or whatever because they have chosen to create it? So one of her followers did ask her this question and said, I can understand that human beings, we're creating our own experience. But what about babies who are born with an illness? They don't know enough to be thinking thoughts that would create this illness. To which Esther Hicks replied that there is no such thing as a baby. We are all ancient souls making the choice before we are born, and you would be choosing, it's just your judgment that this is a bad situation. For this disembodied soul, it might just be, it's a unique experience. Now I had a very close friend, don't want to slip into, pretending that he's still with us because he's not. I had a really good friend named Bob. And Bob was one of the last Americans to have polio. He would have been vaccinated right before going into kindergarten, but he contracted the disease. And it basically withered his arms, and it affected his hips such that he could walk, but he couldn't go upstairs. Bob was a cool man, and he lived a life that would be the envy of many. He had very deep friendships. He got his PhD at Duke. He traveled the world twice, and he used to drag race his car, steering with his feet. Okay. So, but if I said to Bob, your soul chose to have the experience of polio before you were born so that you could have this really unique life, I know that Bob would not have agreed with that. And he would have said, look, this is why we have polio vaccination, so that other people don't have to go through some of the suffering that he did have to go through, as a child, spending a lot of time in hospitals and things like that. So I want to talk just a little bit about the kind of pseudoscience that allows people to believe in this kind of thing. So one thing is the idea that your whole body is vibrating. And it turns out it is true, actually, that your ears and eyes and skin and heart are vibrating. They're all vibrating at different frequencies. There's no way to affect that vibration. And if you have changed their vibration, it certainly does not attract money or lovers or adventures or whatever to you. In fact, in nature, like does not attract like. In nature, like repels like. So think about magnets, and also this idea that we are vibrating and then we influence things around us to vibrate is like we're like tuning forks. It's also just fake science, because actually we all have vibration, so it's not like we're an empty thing where like a tuning fork, when you touch it, will now take on the vibration of whatever just touched you. So it sort of depends on our science or illiteracy around science for people to be able to buy into this stuff. And also our illiteracy around geopolitics, the real causes of poverty, history, and all of that, to buy into the idea that somehow a child, for example, in Africa right now, suffering in terrible poverty in an area affected by war, whatever, somehow created that experience for themselves. Now, as promised, I'm going to share with you the truth that as this year ahead and the year behind, I am trying to educate myself so that I can understand better, what are the real causes, global poverty just being one of them, illness being another one of them. What are the real causes of things, and how can I learn enough to actually affect my behavior about things? And so, for example, I was reading a book by Raj Patel called Stuffed and Starved, and it was about food inequalities around the world. And it was hard, and at points I felt anxious, like I'm not sure I can understand this. So I just want to reenact what that would have been like, okay? Reading the book. This guy knows a lot more than I do. It's making me feel bad. Excuse me a moment while I just eat my shadow around the idea that I'm not smart enough to learn this stuff, okay? Just excuse me a moment. Okay, a little ritual about reintegrating those parts of myself that I would rather deny, okay? Reality matters because how we believe that things came to be are going to affect what we do to remedy them, right? So hopefully part of the work of Seattle Atheist Church is sort of helping people to debunk ideas like this particular version of the law of attraction. I am going to end the way I always do. Atheists believe in good because good works in non-mysterious ways. Thank you.